What's up, guys? It's Sarah. Just waiting for a couple people to jump on. I feel like it's really dark in here. I changed my lighting in my house. Oh, what an amazing day. What an awesome, amazing day. God, the energies right now are just, some people are either feeling really wiped out or really energized. I'm one of the really energized ones. So I got wiped out for a second, and then now it's just like skyrocketing. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. And tonight, yes, I'm gonna do a little bit of tap in, but I wanted to just kind of open up a conversation about energy suckers. I was just talking with my roommate. We were calling them eats because they eat your time and your energy. And it always seems, and let me know if this resonates with you, but it always seems like whenever you're about to skyrocket into something new, whenever you're about to just, or you're really excited about something and seems like things are in alignment for you, whenever that flow happens, the eats show up. Right? The energy and the time suckers, or different people who, or different things, but that just come in to like pull your attention away from whatever vibrant, amazing flow that you're in. And if you let it, then it totally knocks you off course, right? And I had this experience, and so I wanted to share a little bit and see how this resonates with you guys. Because everything has been flowing, right? Really, really amazingly. And just such fun stuff coming in and working together, right? And a friend of mine had shared one of my videos on Instagram. And shout out to my good brother. And what happened was, it was this video about just living from your heart, right? I use heart as an acronym: honest, empowered, authentic, real truth. James, hey honey, how are you? And so it was 2-second video. It's on Instagram, right? You guys can check it out if you want to. And it's just about like living in gratitude and living from the heart and just spreading this just positive message, right? And my friend shared it because he thought it was super rad, which was awesome. Thank you, Phil. And this woman commented on his page, and I share this with just so much compassion for her, right? Because it's kind of like offering a different perspective for when this stuff shows up, because it's always going to show up, right? And I really, as soon as she wrote this comment, which was really not awesome, it was just really negative and really just like so unnecessary. And at the same time, I felt her pain and her hurt from her own life experiences. And this, whatever, well, she claimed that I had plastic surgery and that I wasn't living from my truth because I had altered my face in order to fit into American societal acceptance, something along those lines, right? And it's interesting because I've been in the entertainment industry, and so granted, that's always, like, it's just a thing that some people ask me, oh, you know, where'd you get your nose done? And I'm like, huh? So, or, oh, you have collagen in your lips, right? Like, where do you get that done? And I would be real about it if I did, but no. And at the same time, it didn't hurt me when she said that. I was kind of like, wow, okay, this message or this vision is triggering something in her, which it was her own pain and her own, God, whatever she had been through in her past life. And so I held space for that. recognizing that from an outside, and rather than taking it personally, because it doesn't matter what anybody does, right? But the judgments around it. And it was interesting because as I was stepping back and looking at this whole perspective, I've talked with other friends about this, where it's like, you know, right when you're feeling like you're getting momentum with doing stuff, and right when you feel like you're having just like things are aligning, there's always something that's going to come in to try to like trip you up, try to derail you potentially off of your path, right? The eats, the energy and time suckers, because they eat your energy and they eat your time. And these can be people in your lives too, you know, it's like creating really healthy boundaries of that. And so I wanted to just open up that conversation, because I wanted to just offer that as a reminder, where no matter what you've got going on, to keep charging through, and that it is a sign and a signal that you are on this positive track up. You are on a positive track up. You must be on a positive track up, because the eats love to come and attach on to energy that's moving and lighting up and vibrant, right? They can't generate it themselves, so they must attach onto something that's of a higher vibrancy. So to keeping that perspective, it's like, don't take it personally, and just recognize that it's like these little, you know, like a little Hansel and Gretel, like little stones on the road that are letting you know that you are on an amazing path and you're about to venture into something spectacular, the more that these energies are kind of attached and or attracted to you, right? And then offering the different perspective of not taking the offense to it, and recognizing that anything that someone's saying out of a judgment or a blame or just a projection, right? It's all an internal projection of whatever experience they had that had them believing something limiting about themselves, having them believing that they were less than the amazing, beautiful souls that they are. And so it's funny with this experience, like I apologized to her for that. I was like, I'm so sorry that like somebody has treated you so poorly, so that you forgot that the internal beauty is a reflection of what we see outside of ourselves, and what we see outside is a reflection of the internal. And so, yeah, just if that resonates, let me know. What's a comment? Oh boy, I know that all too well. Yes, James, I'm sure you do. And part of being a positive, vibrant, just someone who wants to live an expanded and conscious and vibrant life, the reason why those things are getting attracted to us, like that's like being a beacon. You're being a beacon. And so, like I said, energies that can't sustain that within themselves, they need you to feed off of. They need that energy, and it can take all kinds of different forms, right? And I'll touch on, you know, to do more of the internal work on, it's not just about being the beacon, right, and being that vibrant self, but we still have a subconscious operating system that says, you know, how are we operating from the triangle? I call it the power pyramid. The villain, victim, or the hero. I think if you guys have watched a couple of my other videos, you've heard me address this before, and I've taken this concept and integrated it and expanded it. But for the majority of the part, you know, the majority of people operate from a victim standpoint. That's just how it is, right? And then other people are either the villain, right? And then we have to go find a hero to try to save us, and it continues this spiral, right? And the name of the game is not to be one of the three characters. That's not, it's not the thing to be the hero, right? Like everybody wants to be the hero, but if you've got to be the hero for somebody, then you have to victimize someone else. You have to put them in that position so that then you can feel better about yourself. And that's not authentic heroism, right? That's not authentic being supporting or being a support. That's a different thing. I think I'll make a whole separate video on that. But the interesting dynamic is, and I'm just going to kind of get a little real, maybe a lot real, is there can be, and I've equally been looking at this within myself, right? Anything that I offer up, I've always kind of looked within myself. But it's like, you know, what energy are we feeding off of? So there's yes, this perspective of the villain, victim, hero. I think it's called the drama pyramid or something like that. But on what level do we get addicted to this kind of drama? Do we get addicted to that, like, that rush, you know, of like, oh, they said that? Even though I wasn't really triggered this morning, which was interesting. Because I was just like looking at it almost from a third party perspective and being like, wow, okay. And then I instantly went into compassion. And yet at the same time, I have caught myself where, you know, it gets your heart racing, you know, but that's adrenaline, that's fight or flight. That's, you know, like you hear of adrenaline junkies, but adrenaline junkies can create little spurts of things to get that, you know, to then get that adrenaline going. You know, it's why other people really feed on creating so much drama, because they're getting something, there's a payoff. They're getting whatever that rush is, and it's like, it's an addiction. And so just looking at all these different perspectives on what we get addicted to and how we're dependent or codependent on a type of relationship like that within ourselves, within other people, all that. So I thought I would open that up to share and to offer and hopefully maybe inspire if any of you guys are kind of in that place where you're like, yes, I'm kicking ass, and then you get seemingly sideswiped by somebody that's just like, wow, that was so not necessary. It's a telltale sign that you are lighting up even brighter and you're excelling on your path. And so keep going and keep building and keep having compassion for the people that are like, oh, you're light, I want to suck off of you, right? And create healthy boundaries. So with that, I'm going to do a little tap in, and I'm going to kind of ask around this, you know, why these type of eats sort of people. Hey, Christina. Hey, Chandra. Hey, girls. And guys, try this at home. If you have, I think, Christina, didn't you tell me that you started doing this a little bit at your house, which I love. Whatever books that you have, like, ask your own question and then just let the book fall open and see what shows up. I believe that, yes, it's our goal to have that wisdom within us, right? Not searching for answers outside of us. And yet at the same time, messages come from spirit, from whatever you want to call it, through many different things. And ultimately, if you are the creator and you are ultimately created or connected to that spiritual alignment, then you would set up messages to come from anywhere. So it still is you connecting or you creating the experience. So that's kind of how I look at it, that we're not looking outside for answers. It's still a process that we're using internally to kind of be like, okay, what's this question that I'm working with? And let me just let it fall open, and whatever fate should offer, which would be on page 51, committing to full expression and truth-telling. Ooh. Hey, Liz, how are you, beautiful? So in relationship, or in an explanation then to why these eats, these energy, what do we call them? energy and time suckers, eats, We made it up. Um, why they come into our life and why they're in our lives and projecting their judgments and projections. The answer: committing to full expression and truth telling. In our families of origin, people did not tell the truth about their feelings. Instead of speaking about their fears, sadness, dreams, and desires, they often hid them inside. Like most people, they had no education of modeling about telling the truth about feelings, and they probably didn't know how. How much do we have that in society, right? That like really developing that like emotional mastery and honoring your emotions and hearing your thoughts and getting clear on them. That's not a common thing, right? We're all doing the best that we can with the tools we've been given, and EQ and emotional mastery is such a powerful tool. So let's see, like most people, and we probably don't know how. How many family members turn to addictions to mask these hidden feelings, and many died from these addictions. So we suppress all this stuff. God, this is a good chapter. And I really looked at that with this woman too, where I was like, okay, she's saying something underneath her words. She's saying, I'm hurt, I'm in pain, right? And sometimes it's really difficult to take that step back and not take it personally and listen to what's underneath somebody's words and what the root of what they're saying is, right? Because we all know if you're projecting something out, it's a direct reflection. If you're projecting something onto somebody, usually, if it's a projection, right, it's an internal reflection of something that is either pain or that you're working through within yourself, right? And so that's what I try to listen for with people and not take offense to that. Yeah, that can be a little difficult because it still sometimes hurts. You know, it's still like not always cool having somebody project stuff onto you that you're like, I don't deserve that. I'm over here trying to spread a message of love and light. And you're like, you're ugly and you've had plastic surgery to alter your face. Like, what? We create these like delusions and shift them into the reality that our beliefs want us to have, or the limiting beliefs want us to have, and taking one piece of something and internalizing it and switching it into something completely different and then projecting it out onto the person is really rooted in deep suffering and deep pain, and doing our best to get to the compassionate side of that while doing our best not to be hurt by that. Because like I said, it still kind of sucks, right? But not everybody has been given these tools. And so really being able to listen for what somebody's saying underneath the words that they're saying, right? Because everything's hidden in masks. And like I said, addictions and all this stuff we hide behind, and being able to tell the truth on our emotions and say, wow, this is what I'm feeling. And rather than projecting, just be like, this is where this is coming from. But that takes a lot of internal processing and getting really connected with yourself and knowing where it comes from, right? Elena, beautiful. How are you, girl? Oh, I miss you. I think you're in Sedona right now too, aren't you? Chandra says, this is hitting home for me. I like page 51. I've been so honest lately, and it's really liberating. Exactly. Because when we're not honest, then we shut down. I don't know, girl, if you know about like the chakras and stuff like that. And funny, I brought in the book Expanding the Understanding on Chakras. But when we're not speaking our truth and we're not speaking how something is feeling to us, then we shut down our throat chakra, and we close ourselves off. And you can even develop like sore throats or a scratchy throat, you know, or like like a needing to clear all the time. So if you don't feel like you're speaking your truth, or if you feel like something's stuck here, then you can just put your hands on your throat and just be like, okay, I open and I expand and I give love to this place, and just allowing that to just like release anything energetically off of it, right? Elena, I miss you too, babe. Come visit Sedona. You're such a badass. You're such a badass, beautiful. Thank you for loving me so much. How long are you going to be in Sedona for? Because a lot of people keep saying that they want to take trips too. And you know me, girl. My heart's always called back to my home for such a long time. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up. Yeshua, I think that was you. I saw the face super quick. So thank you. So girl, yeah, private message me till June. You're in Sedona till June. I'm gonna seriously contemplate that. I should do a retreat out there. Oh my goodness. Oh God. Okay, that's got me in a whole other exciting tangent, but I will message you about that. So, staying focused, I want to read a little bit of the rest of this chapter on committing to full expression and truth telling. A participant, let's see, in one of the workshops described the power of her commitment to authenticity. Chandra, you might really like this, and how it changed her relationships. I was abused as a child, both sexually and physically. A pattern that repeated in my marriage. There's always that. However, side tangent, whenever we get love when we're young and get attention when we're young, whatever dynamic that looks like is usually can play out then as a pattern for the kinds of partners that we attract into our lives. So if she was with abusive, then in the subconscious mind, you think that that's how love is given. And so you'll set up scenarios to have you play out that same kind of scenario. So a lot of times then, even going back with this woman, whenever there's a projection that's coming out, it's really just to validate she's projecting something out. I want to make sure I say this clearly. That comes from her belief system on how she was treated, so that then hopefully the person's response, because usually people are assholes back again and they're like, you know, F you for saying this and da 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 da, you know, and that would be abusive to her, right? If I were to go and then do that, that would be me being abusive to her, which would validate her story of the abuse that she whatever got in the past, right? And I don't know this woman. This is all speculation on how the subconscious and how these patterns and programs work out, right? And it's been shown so many different times. There's so many different aspects and people in studying this, so it's not just coming out of nowhere. But that would validate her story, right? So if I were to show up and give her what she thought her story of abuse would be, then that would complete that cycle for her. And instead, so then that would be her being a victim, trying to make me her villain, right? To then badger her back again and say, how dare you, and blah, 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 you know? Which I'll admit, for a quick second, my ego did kind of say that slightly. Because we're human, and that's the ego, and I'm just being real with that. And I had to take a second back again and realize that's my ego. And that's how she would want me to react in order to validate her story. So instead, I'm going to say, wow, I see that you were suffering and you're trying to express this emotion. And I'm going to say, I'm so sorry somebody treated you that way. So I want to clear. I don't want to be engaged and wrapped into someone's pattern and program like that. I want to break the cycle. And everything that we do, I believe, so I'll say for me, everything that I do my best to do is to break cycles and break chains of different patterns and programs that are unhealthy, and really being able to separate from that and see it clearly from whatever perspective it is. Villain, victim, hero, right? Clifford, Ilya, what's up? Adam, hi. Adam's my roommate and he's in the other room, but he jumps on anyway. Brittany, girl. Sonia, beautiful. How are you, babe? Okay, do we have any questions? I know a couple of you just jumped on, but we're talking about energy vampires, energy eats, energy and time suckers, and why all this different stuff happens. Yay, hearts. Thank you, baby. Okay, so I'm going to finish this chapter because I went off on a tangent. We're going to bring it back down again. So she was abused as a child, both sexually and physically, a pattern that repeated in her marriage. After 2 years and her first black eye, she went for short-term counseling. Let's see. But when it got into complete denial in spite of nonstop verbal battering, continued batterings, and her husband threatening to kill her, she had numerous, affairs during the 14 marriage. Okay. So without getting into this woman's whole story about repeating abuse and all that stuff, which I'm very partial to, that always hits my heart, especially like the verbal abuse. I lived with my grandmother who was very verbally abusive, so I'm very partial to that one. Energy vampires take photonic energy. Yes, they do, girl. And they don't have to if we set proper boundaries. And what I wanted to say even with this is it's a form of abuse too. Like people who are draining our energy, if we allow ourselves to go into it, then we fall victim. We victimize ourselves into that equation, right? And then it's almost like we're letting them drain our energy then. So that's where we get to have our own responsibility and where we get to choose how we want to react to things and what healthy boundaries we want to put around. Because any amount of abuse, whether it's physical for sure, but abuse can happen on very subtle levels. Emotional abuse, especially, and manipulation and judgments and projections and all of these different things. It's a form of bullying and it's a form of abuse, and none of it is tolerable. I'm 100% anti, and yet, it's really diving in and looking at where do we let these things show up in our lives and where do we let them continue in our lives without setting proper boundaries for ourselves in self-value and self-love. Because the scars and wounds of more emotional abuse is sometimes more dangerous. And so it's a very heavy conversation, but it's something I'm deeply passionate about because of how common it is, and how my own experiences have been with it. And so it's very, very close to my heart. So I always address it with passion and yet extreme consideration and caution. And yet speaking my truth at the same time, powerfully, and saying what's okay and what's not okay. And so, Chandra, I don't know if this relates to you, but if there's anything around that, being able to stand up, so many people feel like there's shame around it, or you don't want to be seen as victimized, right? Or weak. God forbid, should we be seen as weak? God forbid, should we be seen as vulnerable? And so it's taking on a responsibility of your own, of seeing how the equation is set up and how you might have subconsciously created that equation for you, right? I'm all about self-ownership and acknowledgement and creating yourself as to be in a sovereign energy so that you get to be in control of the kinds of things and the kinds of people that show up in your environment, right? And how you get to then set specific boundaries for yourself, even with this woman. Like, I know sometimes in the spiritual community, some people are like, oh, well, just forgive and forget and just be at peace with it. It's this kind of overly loving energy. And yes, that's good. And at the same time, there's a fine line between that and allowing yourself, I'm just going to say it, allowing yourself to be treated like a doormat. And not standing up for yourself and saying, you know what, this part of it is not okay. I'm going to love you. I'm going to say, I see where you're coming from and I have compassion. And yet at the same time, this is not okay. And I'm going to clarify that. And that's part of speaking your truth, right? Because if any time that we're not speaking our truth, we're going to shut down our own throat chakra. So other people can try to shut them down for us. And how do we do it ourselves? What's the question, Sonia? Let's see. Hang on. Let me jump in with you guys. Let's see. Hi, Ronnie. How are you? Gosh, it seems darker in here. Okay. Yes. Choose how. Sonia says, yes. Choose how you react. Release people who do, and release people who do. Like release people. I imagine release people who are negative or something, and send love and light their way if these people are toxic, but they are there to teach us, and we learn different aspects of ourselves. 100%. 120,000%. There's always lessons in everything, right? It's funny because the next chapter is commitment to listening, right? And I always like to think of it's a commitment of listening to yourself and listening to what your soul is saying and listening to your own value, you know? I was having another conversation with a client too, and it was like we were talking about the villain, victim, hero triangle, right? And there's one little extra piece that nobody really talks about, and that's the ego side of us and how our ego is intertwined into that little villain, victim, hero triangle. And then we actually create relationships outside of ourselves that mirror our relationship, the triangle relationship within our own internal operating system. It gets very more deeper than I'm going to address right now on this video. Excuse me, but if you guys have any questions, you can always feel free to ask me. I've been working with that for such a long time. I feel like I know it forwards and backwards and sideways. And I'm always, always, always happy to share. Okay, so I'm going to read another chapter from Eckhart Tolle. I'm bringing out the big guns today, right? From The Power of Now. If you guys have it, all of you should probably have this. It's page 108. So again, this is relating back towards the eats, the energy, and time suckers, why they get attracted to us, what's happening, what they're here to suck from us. This is interesting. Look beyond the words. Word magic. Words are powerful. Words are magic. And yet there's always an energy underneath the words. And I always everybody says actions always speak louder than words, right? But sometimes words can be used to hypnotize us and can be used as manipulations and, again, projections. And they can be used in a really, really beautiful, powerful way and a really negative way. And yet at the same time, as much as they have magic, it's everything underneath the words that count. So let's see what good old Tolle has to say about this. I don't like the word sin. It implies that I'm being judged and found guilty. So what were we saying again about judgment and all that stuff? I can understand that over the centuries, many erroneous views and interpretations have accumulated around the word sin due to ignorance and misunderstanding or a desire to control, but they contain an essential core of truth. If you are unable to look beyond such interpretations and so cannot recognize the reality to which the word points, then don't use it. Don't get stuck on the level of words. A word is no more than a means to an end. It's an abstraction. Not unlike a signpost, it points beyond itself. The word honey isn't honey. You can study and talk about honey for as long as you like, but you won't really know it until you taste it. That's awesome. After you have tasted it, hang on. After you've tasted it, the word becomes less important to you. You won't be attached to it anymore. Similarly, you can talk or think about God continuously for the rest of your life. But does that mean you know or have even glimpsed the reality to which the word points? It really is more than an obsessive attachment to a signpost, a mental idol. Damn, that's awesome. Because words, like I take on the old school, like Templar, you know, you were your word, and what you say was valuable. And I've listened to other people's words, and yet what I've constantly always been reminded of as another lesson always is I feel like exactly what he's talking about here, where it's what's beneath the words, what's the energy beneath the words. You can always know someone's intention, their what they're wanting to project, right? And so I think even talking about all of this, whatever that woman was sharing, that was her projection, but it was listening and hearing to what was beneath the words, and what was beneath the words was pain and hurt and trauma. And so then going instantly into compassion, right? And so I feel like that just kind of ties that all in together. Let me know if that resonates with you guys. Negative, let's see. Sonia says yes, and then you said negative for something, but I don't know what. Let's see. Oh yeah, the ego must create a good relationship with it. Exactly. I don't agree when, there's some people who are saying like, oh, your ego, you must get rid of the ego. One, that's never going to happen. Okay? It's part of your conscious and your subconscious. You're never going to get rid of it. And it's there only doing its job. And its job is to keep you safe. Granted, its job is to keep you safe and limited and in your comfort zone. Right? Or in your story and in your operating system and in the false beliefs and the negative patterns or whatever. Like it's all in this that's been built, or that you built and you created. And so being able to step outside of that is more powerful, creating a relationship to that rather than demonizing or villainizing the ego and saying, oh goodness, you're so annoying, I must get rid of you. The same way that then we would do, let's say, with someone projecting, because the ego could be considered an energy that's projecting onto you, right? And then you get mad at it. But instead, if you look at it from, oh wow, okay, it's really just doing its best, it wants to keep me safe. It's only doing what technically I have programmed it to do with all of my beliefs and patterns and things, whether they're serving me now or not, whether I would like to now let them go, the old patterns and beliefs, is one thing. But it's like a recording. It's a software. So it's only running the program that has been installed into your operating system. And so looking at it from that side and then being compassionate and then saying, wow, thank you so much for your opinion, and I would like to go try this over here, right? But not shunning it away and not villainizing it. Because then again, if you villainize something, then you either have to be a hero to try to save yourself from something, or you then victimize yourself and say, wow, I'm a victim to my ego. My ego runs the show, right? Again, none of those roles are the name of the game. It's not the name of the game. Name of the game is third party perspective. I've talked about that a couple times, but it keeps coming up, and people keep asking me about it, and then it's just came up again today, and it came up with another client session, and so I'm like, okay, let's keep talking about this, because repetition helps integrate, right? Let's see. So intentions behind the words we feel, exactly, especially as empaths. Oh, girl. Let's talk about empaths and words and why empaths. Okay. I'm an empath. I remember the day that I figured out that there was a word, that there was a definition for that. And I remember crying about it because I was picking up everything and picking up everybody's stuff. And I went to this amazing, beautiful Chinese energy healer. She was such a powerful woman. She was working with all the different energy fields in my body and moving them around. And she said, you know you're an empath. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And she said, did you see those two girls outside? There were these two, one was I think 12 and one was 6, in the waiting room. And she said, did you see them with her mother or with their mother? And I said, yes, they were beautiful children. And she said, they are just like you. And I just remember bawling my eyes out. And she said, "Why are you crying?" And I said, if they, at the time, I didn't know how to work with all this stuff, right? With all these different energies, and I was picking up so much I didn't know how to process it. And I just remember saying to her, I said, if they have to go through anything like what I'm going through right now, on like reworking all of this energetics and picking up stuff that's not mine, and having to God, just process it. I was like, I wouldn't wish that on such beautiful, young, vibrant children. I was like, oh God, that's like a thing. And I was like, I don't even know what that word means. And of course I Googled it later. And she said, no. She said their mom is bringing them in early, at a young age, obviously. And so they're going to be able to work with this stuff. I was like hit over the head with it. I was kind of always an empath, and yet then I had a whole near-death experience. That's another conversation. That then kind of just stripped my armor of protection. And so I was getting bombarded with everything and had to learn how to rework with that. And it was a very interesting time. But she said that they were coming in at such an early age, and that having a mom like that to bring in such beautiful children as empaths so that they could learn how to work with picking up other people's emotions and work with their own, and really understanding how to strengthen that was going to be such a gift. And I just remember being so amazed that there was that their mom was just somebody that would honor that within them. Okay, I went on another tangent. I'm sorry, guys. But yes, being an empath is really powerful, and I've learned, and I hope everybody else has kind of learned too, that it is a gift. I remember when I thought it was a curse, but it's more of a gift now. Poor quality reception and inaudible sound. Sorry, Nathan, I don't know what to say about that. It's technology, and we're in Mercury shadow. So we'll see what happens. So I'm sorry, maybe if you watch the recording. Hey Clifford, hey Erica, how are you? Amanda, it's April, which is National Autism Month. So hi to you and your beautiful foundation. I'm totally going to give a shout out to you because you're one of my favorite foundations. In Colorado, everybody, it's called the Lily Grace Foundation, and it specializes in autism, but really expands into any kind of neurological either disorder or imbalance. Amanda, I'm sure I am not doing justice on how I'm speaking about it, but I'm so passionate about your foundation, especially because of Lily, who's your daughter, who's on the spectrum, but just the work that you do, and in such a holistic way. I really believe in finding solutions to these things holistically. So please definitely write comments for your foundation so that you guys can all go. If you want something amazing to donate to, it's all Shannon, Amanda, Amanda Shannon. And you do such an amazing, beautiful work out there. So happy April, National Autism Month. I appreciate you, woman. Erica, how are you, beautiful? Thank you, girl. You're the best too. So, all right, I am going to open for one more, and then we'll sign off. And this one, because they're coming from all kinds of different multi-dimensional experiences and fields, I thought the quest for the secret force of the universe. So What does this one have to say? Let's see. In Dune, let's see. Counterpoint to himself. I never know what's going to come out of this book. Oh, how fun, though. This is why I love this game. So the chapter is titled The Creative Observer. Again, villain, victim, hero. The goal is not one of the roles. It's being the third, technically the fourth, but being the central observer of all of it, or the creative observer. What does it say about the creative observer? Let's see. In Dune, let's see. John had deliberately chosen a counterpart to himself, which was obvious at first sight by their gaping physical differences. Let's see. John was spare and gone, often nearly checked in his shirt, informal uniform, conservative. Okay, blah, blah, blah. She was often dressed in flowing. Dune was elusive, personal style, or had an elusive personal style. She was draped in flowing clothes. Okay, science, Dune, let's see, instinctive, great. They're describing all this. Get to the point. Let's see. First, let's see. In John's mind was the improv upon RNG technology, random event generators. I'm going to roll with this one. Random event generators. I have not read the chapter of this book yet, so this is interesting. As they come to be called, should be driven by electronic noise source rather than atomic decay. Sonia, what were you saying about, what did you say in this? You said something. Where is it? I don't know. It just made me think of it. Photonic energy. That they drain your photonic energy. Driven by electromagnetic noise source. The random output of these machines was controlled by something akin to the white noise you hear when you dial the radio in between stations, a roaring surf of free electrons. Provided a mechanism to send out a randomly alternating string of positive and negative pulses. The results were displayed on a computer screen and then transmitted in line to a data management system. A number of fail-safe features such as voltage, okay, blah, blah, blah. Hardware, fail-safe, let's see. He had refined his scientific protocol. They decided that all REG studies should follow the same design. Each participant sitting in front of the machine would undergo 3 tests of equal length. Okay, I'm going to stop there because this is so crazy coincidental. If I could speak English tonight, that'd be great. For so many conversations that I have had in the last 72 hours relating to, we're going to dive a little deeper right now. Just FYI, brace yourself. Relating to more of the subtle energy spectrum. Thoughts are subtle energy spectrums. And at the same time, what I'm picking up from this and I don't know if it has to do with it. Either way, it's just what I'm getting, and maybe it's because it keeps coming up in the same conversation, but there are the same reason why we have these eats, these energy and time suckers, right? To a certain extent, we have this frequency within us, and sometimes we can allow an open door for these things to either enter in or be kind of like around our field trying to enter in. Like I said, I'm diving a little deeper here, so you might have questions on this. And they're all frequency based. So the more that we have negative thoughts about ourselves, false beliefs, different fears, all that kind of stuff, the more that we continue letting those things run, that leaves an open doorway for more of these other energies to kind of jump in on. And sometimes, and I've seen this with some people, these energies start working within the person and creating different personalities within them, and then switching back and forth. So sometimes you might get one personality, sometimes you might get another, and yet the person is very unconsciously aware of how this happens. Sometimes they're conscious, and sometimes they are not conscious of it at all. Like I said, this is a much deeper conversation. And so I don't want to dive too deeply into it. And yet at the same time, it's very much something that that I've seen happen. And it's more along the lines of how we get influenced. And so these energies can be floating around trying to influence us. And sometimes we pick it up thinking, that's why our really being able to discern on what's our intuition, and what's maybe an outside source, and whether that outside source is on our team or not on our team. They can be parasitic as well, right? So again, like if we're all light and these things are wanting to suck off of, then that's kind of a parasitic type of energy. And we have parasites in our food and in our water and all kinds of different stuff, but you can have physical parasites and you can have energetic parasites. Let's see, Erica says, and they can be draining. It's 100%. That's why I was calling them eats. The energy, because they eat away at your energy. So energy and time suckers. My roommate and I just made that up. But I thought it was funny because it does. It eats away at your energy. And yes, they're draining you because you're this vital force and you're trying to get all this energy going, right? And creative and movement. And then they show up to drain your energy, or you're putting all this energy out and then it's like, oh, something really shiny and attractive with lots of energy. Cool. Let's go after them and see if they'll give us energy. So they're trying to manipulate you to take your energy, to pull your energy from you. And that energy could be just your attention, saying something just to get your attention, to get a rise out of you, because that rise still excites your adrenals, right? And then you get into fight or flight, or you get into something uncomfortable and your heart starts racing, right? And then they feed off of that energy. So they feed off of this drama, and will create drama scenarios to continue feeding off of, right? So sometimes, like I said, these energies or parasitic energies end up getting involved with some individuals, and then through that individual will go and create drama or project something onto the person, try to steal their energy, pull their energy because they're needing it, and create drama so that then they can constantly pull these energies away. It's such a weird thing, and yet at the same time it happens all the time. Yeah, I've experienced too many people, and I constantly, one of the things that I do to really make sure that I'm clear is doing, like I've always worked kind of like with the biofield, these energy fields that we have that go outside of our body that correlate with the chakras. But I'll bring in as much like vibrant white, pink, whatever energy you want to bring, whatever color you want it to be, and bring it into your solar plexus and bring it into your heart, and then visualize it. I kind of see it as like wind, right? I visualize it blowing through all of my fields, all of the 7 biofields. If you want to go beyond that, yes, there's beyond 7 biofields, just as there are beyond 7 chakras. But I'll clear out all the chakras, clear out all the layers of the biofield, and just like double check everything. You know, I'm always wanting to keep my energy field as clean and clear. Like, I mean, I know we all do, right? But we forget about the subtle energies that are around, and we forget that these energies of the universe can actually jump in and make us think that they're them and just wreak havoc and create drama in our lives, you know? And if that's something that you're experiencing with someone else or whatever, either with yourself, you can clear out your own field. Again, always feel free to ask me any questions. I just did this email with this girl who, she was like, I went to Bali and I feel like I had something that was attached to me or inside, and I went to Bali and I had it cleared out. And then she actually went, when she came back home, she had a little bit of a glass of wine, which different things, addictions, and different things can actually open the door for this. She had a little bit of a glass of wine, and then she actually started talking about somebody that was kind of on the same vibrational wavelength as this energy. And she's like, immediately I got this hit and it felt like it was back again. So I had her clear out her own fields. We're all able to do this on our own. You don't have to necessarily go to some shaman that's in Bali, and you can. And we're all able to strengthen our own fields on our own. But the awareness of it and the conscious awareness of how they act, and how they interact with the subconscious, the conscious, and the energetic body is the first stage of anything, right? Because when you feel like your energy is drained from something, that's a key indicator. Or if you feel like you're around someone that is trying to take energy from you, you know, then that's a key indicator that something's going on within them. And you can just say, okay, thank you so much, and healthy boundaries. So let me check in for questions super quick. Good. Glad you guys gave some thumbs up on that. So yeah, let me know if anything else. Let's see. After my call to you, cry for help. Oh, girl. I hope you're doing okay. Let's see. I recently cut everyone and everything off that coupled with my yoga practice is healing my soul. Awesome. Good. So you're setting boundaries. So you're setting positive, healthy boundaries. That's awesome. Yay. Thumbs up to that. I love that because that's important. Hey, Anya. Beautiful. Anya Lee Nirvana. We don't always, sometimes it can be difficult to set those healthy boundaries, you know, because sometimes those people are people that we really care about. And unfortunately, it's like, if they're unconscious to what's going on, you know, then everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own lessons and things that they're learning. And so it's no judgment on that. It's just kind of like, okay, thank you so much. And that can be really difficult and painful. And so I really just acknowledge you, girl, for what you're saying is I value myself, right? And when you deserve to be valued, and you deserve to value yourself, right? And so it goes into that kind of self-love thing. I had one of my thoughts, I used to run one of my programs was, I can handle anything, right? I can handle anything. Anything you give, I can totally handle it. And that was during a time that I needed to be extra strong, and I needed to be my own hero, and I needed to handle it. And it was my own protective defense mechanism, right? And that pattern served me really, really well for that time. And so sometimes with patterns is we forget to drop them off when we're done with them. We're like, okay, that served for that amount of time, but now we keep using it, and now it's not actually doing such positive things, right? Because I would leave myself in situations longer than I needed to be, because I was like, oh, well, I mean, I can handle this, right? Because I'm strong and I can handle anything. And one day I woke up and I said, I just had this, like, it was like just this, the internal intuitive voice, right, that talks to you. And it said, it addressed me as me. And it said, Sarah, it said, strong says you can handle anything. And yet stronger says some things you know you don't have to. And that like just hit me, because I was like, okay, I get to choose now. I don't have to handle anything. If I value myself, I don't have to put myself in a situation that's not good for me, or you know, or in this book, that's abusive. We don't have to handle things. We don't have to stay in situations that aren't, or I should say that are toxic in any way, shape, or form. Because being able to be strong, of course, yes, you can handle it. But the stronger person knows that you just don't have to handle. You don't have to handle it. Because you're stronger than that. And you know that you can separate and say, thank you, no thank you. Right? So I hope, I don't know, that came up to share for you. So let me check in with you guys. Let's see. Anya, so grateful for your potent guidance. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, Anya. This is in full resonance with what I'm experiencing right now. Awesome. So awesome. Yeah, it's come up. There's been multiple conversations. And so I never know. I always want to plan these videos, you know, to really create structure with it. And then sometimes, honestly, I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. And I don't want to force anything. And then when I do get that hit and I'm like, okay, whatever's going to come through, what is it going to be? And let's ask. And then I just start sharing whatever. And it always ends up being worthwhile for the synchronicity of everything that's been happening. And so yes, there's many conversations that's been about this, and I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to come through, but it's going to resonate with the right people. So thank you, Anya, for having that resonate for you. And if there's something specific too, feel free to send me a message, and I'd be happy to kind of like dive in. I've been really just diving in and pulling all this different aspects apart. And I have been for years, but more specifically around different relationship dynamics and why, and these energy suckers and whatnot. So if you ever have any deeper deeper questions, then please feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to share anything that could offer more guidance to you. Let's see, what else did you say, Anya? Learning not to react to the energy and play out the old patterns of codependency. Ooh. Yes. Yes, 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 Anya. Thank you. 100%. 100%. Because as much as sometimes we have these codependencies, again, can I talk English tonight? With other people, we can actually create codependencies within our own internal patterns and dynamics, right? And so it's really just like, okay, that was serving me then. Thank you so much. I'm ready to let go. And then choosing something different. Yes, it takes a little bit of time to really, you know, release something that's been such an ingrained pattern, because it's been ingrained and stabbed in so many times through behavior. But the more that, like, if we can just embrace, I've really been taking on this change leader terminology. And to me, a change leader is someone who's like, I want to break my own chains and the cycles and the patterns, and just break the cycle, and being so committed to self on breaking that cycle, whatever that is. That could be a family heritage cycle that's been passed on through different generations of treating, you know, different dynamics within the family, right? That can be 1,000 different things. That can be romantic relationships. That can be friendships. That can be relationships with money. I always say how we do one relationship is how we do them all. So relationships are our everything, and our patterns and beliefs in those relationships are everything. And I'm committed to being a change leader, and I'm committed to supporting other change leaders to breaking through that pattern and that commitment to just break the chain and release it, because freedom is on the other side of that. Ultimate freedom is on the other side of that. So thank you for sharing that, Anya. And yes, 100%. James says, I might have to visit LA just to talk to you. I need a break from Vegas. Sweetheart, any day. Really great topic tonight. Thank you, sweetheart. Great. I'm so always grateful that this always touches you and supports you and your path. Let's see. I'm excited to connect with you. Sarah Anya says we'll definitely reach out soon. Perfect. Great. Yes, I would love to. Okay. Christy, what's up, girl? All right, guys. I think time disappears with these things. So yeah, I feel complete. I'm going to hold for 2 seconds in case anybody has any last minute questions that you would either like to ask me or ask me to check in with. But other than that, I just love you. I just send so much love and gratitude, and just being in this space of joyous. When I went to Agape the other day, and he was on it. He was on it. And it was like, show up with joy first. Put that cart before the horse and show up with joy, and then watch everything else show up. And the other thing that I've been doing is in the morning, instead of setting the intention that I wanted to have the day be, I've been setting the intention for the feeling that I want to have at the end of the day. And then watching everything unravel however it may. And by the end of the day, seeing how then I've kind of lived into that feeling, and I always add a little bit of whatever the feelings are, creative and passionate and excited, all these upbeat ones. And then I'll also always add a feeling and sense of completeness. Right? I started adding that one because it's okay, I want to be able to go to sleep with this feeling and sense of completeness. And I had an amazing kick-ass day. And that's just been so fun the last couple days. And watching things just show up just effortlessly. And I'm so in gratitude of that. And so the last thing that I will offer you is remember that you are the creators of your own universe. It's just my reminder to you. We all know this. And may we always wake up every day remembering that we are the creators of our own life, relationships, and existence. And be the change leader that breaks the chains that aren't working anymore. And be committed to that self within you. So much love to you guys. Thank you for tuning in always. Yes, I'll continue making these videos. I'm rolling with the flow with it. I never want anything to feel forced. So we'll see when the next one's going to be. But I usually do them at night. So that I can always guarantee. So much love to you guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Blessings, blessings, blessings. And I will see you again.